So let's take round 2 droplet from the tank, and this time I'm going to go into this nice electrified tank and try and get a bit from this here. This is more difficult because it's a lot more solid. Oh. There we go. Oh, this time it's going to be more difficult for you to see in the tube. There we go, maybe against that background. Anyway, some quite clear fluffy stuff. I got an extra bit off there by accident. I think I may need to separate it slightly because it is quite a clump and it's fairly solid too, so I'm going to put the cover slide on and see what happens. And it actually kind of works. I think that'll be okay, so I'm going to put it underneath the dark field this time and see what happens. Straight away, as you can see, the view is very different. Having the contrast of the dark black background means that you can see the fronds of the algae and everything in front of it quite clearly. And in amongst the algae you can see something moving, this wriggling mass, and I'm not sure what that is because I didn't quite get to it, but I think it's quite a large worm. Also around this you can see various different little critters moving, and I'm fairly certain most of them are ciliates, but I haven't yet identified them. For some reason a lot of the footage from this got corrupt, so I do apologise if some of it goes a bit weird at times. Hopefully you'll be able to see the cool bits still. Whatever this guy is, he's huge and he's squeezing himself through those fronds of algae just to the bottom. Here you can see another one of these pretty large critters squeezing his way through the biggest chunk of the algae. I believe these little balls are quite similar to the ones we've seen in the vase that I found. I think they're spores for the algae itself. In amongst them, if you look really carefully, you can see tiny little things moving as well, which I think are very small ciliates. Here we can see a group of paramecium. There were 3 at first when I found them, and then a 4th one came along a little bit later on. They were fairly docile, but then when they started bumping into each other, you can see them spiralling around, and you get a real feel for the true shape of them. This kind of seed pod shape almost. They're not flat at all, they've got this weird kind of seed pod shape, and then you can also see the little algae, I think they are, moving around inside of them. I'm not 100% that these are the same kind of paramecium that I've seen beforehand because they look so different in the dark field to how they do when you're looking through them. So I'm going to have to take maybe another sample of this particular white fungus, white algae, and have a look at these critters again. Next time by looking straight through them with the light. Next I found a really big worm in the tank. I think it might have been one of the spiky ones because you can just about make out the spikes on the outside. I found this really interesting because you can see the gullet, the long sort of intestinal tract, I guess it is. I don't know exactly what kind of innards these guys have, but this big huge writhing mass on the inside that you can see pulsating all the way down from the head all the way through to the tail. I had a very close look at its head as well to see if I could see any more inside there, and this is the highest magnification that I went up to. You can kind of make something out, but it's not fantastic, so I probably won't use that magnification again. At least not until I found a way of making the definition much better. I also found another worm moving around, which was moving along this kind of branch of algae, which looked quite cool, and a tiny little almost ladybug-like thing. And that's about all that Premiere Pro will allow me to edit at the moment, because it's been very weird. I'm not 100% certain why. I'm going to try recording some more tomorrow and see what happens. But until then, I'll see you next time.